Bob and Ross Show, where we look into the past and bring it to the future. This week, we are delving into ancient Egypt
to learn about the gods and goddesses. As we all know, Egyptian gods and goddesses were very important to their culture.
They were highly respected and helped ancient Egyptians to explain their natural world. Fun fact!
There are more than 2,000 Egyptian gods and goddesses.
But obviously we can't focus on all of them.
Today we will be focusing on 7 of the most important ones. First off, we have Bastet. She was the goddess of cats.
Wait, cats? I love cats!
Yup, cats were very important to Egyptian culture. They would mummify cats like people as an offering to Bastet.
She was portrayed as a woman with a cat's head.
But Bastet wasn't just the goddess of cats. She was also the goddess of domesticity,
woman's secrets,
childbirth,
and fertility.
Wow! Girl power!
Yeah! Fun fact! The meaning of her name changed as time went on.
And her image warped depending on what time era she was in.
At one point, her name could be translated as She of the Perfume Jar.
She seems like a really nice god.
Yeah, but not always though. Her name could also be translated as the Devouring Lady.
And even though Bastet's image was revolved around women, she was sometimes portrayed as a fierce lion who protected the king in battles.
And you girl can do both!
And she didn't protect just any king, she protected the king in the area which she was the main god. Her temple was in the city of Bubastis in the 18th reign.
Altogether, she was a very well-known and well-respected god. Next we have Anubis, the god of death and embalming.
What's embalming?
Embalming is the process of preserving bodies after they've passed. So in simpler words, mummification.
When Egyptians would perform their preserving rituals, Anubis would watch over them to make sure everything was done correctly.
Once done, he would lead the innocent into a heavenly existence and the guilty into a myth, which was basically their version of hell. Haha, oh yes. Anubis was an extremely ancient immortal, often presented on pyramid texts as guardian and protector of the dead. He was originally called the god of the underworld, but changed his name when he was adopted as the son of the god Osiris.
He was often associated with the Eye of Horus. Fun fact! Egyptians used sweet-smelling herbs and plants
to help Anubis find the deceased so that he could help guide them.
Anubis became patron of lost souls, including orphans and of funeral rites. Eventually, he absorbed and overlapped with the jackal god, Wapawet.
Wapawet.
Guardian to the underworld, Anubis was quite the god in ancient Egypt.
Now let's talk about Nut. Now Nut is a little bit different than the other 2 gods we've talked about. Technically, Nut is the god of the sky, but she was mainly believed to actually be the sky. In art, she was mainly portrayed as a starry humanoid figure, arching over the earth.
Although, sometimes she was portrayed as a woman with a water pot on her head. She's one of the oldest and most loved Egyptian gods. Fun fact! Nut has 2 different stories on how she became who she is. The first is that she is the mother of Ra, the god of the sun. It is said that every night she eats him, and every morning she gives birth to him.
Every day? Sounds tiring.
Sure does. The second story is more of a creation story. The story goes, she loved the earth god, who was named Jed. They loved each other so passionately that the god Shu became jealous. He separated them by lifting up Nut, creating the sky, the earth, and the air in between.
When Nut and Jeb were separated, Nut was pregnant, and from that pregnancy, she gave birth to all the stars and the planets. After that, she seduced the god Thoth and gave birth to 5 more gods: Osiris, Herusis, Set, Isis, Nephthys.
Known as the ultimate mother, Nut is a pretty awesome god. Shu was the god of light and air. He illuminated the primordial darkness and marked the separation between day and night.
What you mean?
Well, he represented the space between Earth and the heavens, and also gave the breath of life to all living beings. Many sailors relied on him for the power of wind, when they would travel the seas. He was the husband and brother of Tefnut and the father of Nut.
Nut.
That's right! As said before, Shu separated Nut and Jeb, creating an atmosphere which allowed life to flourish. Fun fact!
There are 4 different pillars around the world known as the Pillars of Shu that helped him separate the earth and the sky. Known as the embodiment of light, Shu also had a solar aspect. He wasn't a solar deity, but was often connected to Ra and protected him from the snake demon, Apep. Although he sounds like a very pleasant god, Shu had a dark side.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah, he would attend the judgment of each dead soul in the Hall of Mat. He would lead the demons who would punish those souls. Let's learn about Thoth next. Thoth was a god of writing, knowledge, magic, and wisdom.
Thoth was pretty important because he gifted the ancient Egyptians with what they are most known for.
What is it?
Hieroglyphs. Thoth gave this gift to the Egyptians so they could further themselves in the way of knowledge. Fun fact! His name means he who is like the ibis.
An ibis was a bird in ancient Egypt that was highly sacred. Thoth was the scribe of the gods. He was a busy guy with many jobs. He kept the library of the gods and was also a scribe in the underworld. He recorded what happens to the dead souls, whether they went to Ammit or Aru.
He also wrote the Book of Thoth, which is said to hold all the secrets to the known universe. Apparently, whoever reads it will become the most powerful sorcerer ever known, but they will be cursed with what they know. Some people think it's either hidden in or around the Great Pyramids.
Wow. It's lost in the sauce.
Ra or Re was the primary god of the sun. He was often considered the king of the gods and one of the central gods in Egyptian pantheon. Ra was so powerful and popular, and many Egyptologists have argued that the Egyptians had a religion that was a form of veiled monotheism, as Ra as the main god.
The one and only.
That's right. It has been proposed that the pyramids represented the rays of light extending from the sun, thus connecting the king to Ra. Many Egyptians would also build solar temples in his honor. One of the most iconic temples was in Heliopolis, which was thought to be where Ra first emerged at the beginning of creation.
Although Ra was an ancient god, he was not the oldest. The first references to him date to the 2nd dynasty. However, by the 5th, he had become more powerful and was associated with the pharaoh. The name of Ra was incorporated into the throne name of every king then on.
King Ra the First, King Ra the Second, King Ra the Third, King Ra the Fourth.
Haha, so many! The worship of the god Ra was at its peak during the New Kingdom, which was in the 1500s. Many tombs included depictions of Ra's journey through the underworld over 12 hours or stages.
During the Ptolemaic period, various foreign rulers started to take over, and sadly, Ra's popularity declined. Last but not least, we have Horus, the god of the sky, son of the sun god, Ra. He was strongly associated with the falcon, so much so that he was depicted as a man with a falcon's head. He was a highly respected god. Horus was considered the patron and protector of the pharaoh. In fact, he is probably the most well-known protector of the pharaoh. Fun fact! Horus was actually considered the ruler of Egypt.
And it was said that the pharaoh was a living manifestation of him. His eye became a well-known symbol. It was called the Eye of Horus, and it symbolized protection. And in modern day, it's still a recognizable symbol. He was also the god of young men, and was thought to be the perfect model for boys growing up and turning into men.
Perfect?
Well, it's actually kind of debatable if you factor in all the stories about him. Apparently, when he was battling his brother Set, the throne his mother had the chance to destroy Set. But she didn't. In anger over her passive choice, he cut her head off.
Egyptian gods and goddesses were
Ancient
Egyptians.
Done. Okay. Herbs and spices. Is it spices? No.
It's spice.
everybody.
Well,
So there you have it, folks.